The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 2. Introduction. This whole thing with the Illuminati and a shadow government may be unreal to many people, but stay with me for a while and give it a chance. I encourage you to read this introductory, overviewing article before you read anything else from this website, unless you are already familiar with the Illuminati. Even then it would probably be refreshing to read it. This article is exactly just that, an overview. The evidence and in-depth discussions to support my information is not going to be provided in this particular article, it only summarizes what is discussed on the rest of my early website, illuminatinews.com. It is similar to laying a puzzle, one needs to lay one piece at a time to fit it into the big picture. Sometimes you have to remove a piece because you notice it didn't fit 100% and replace it with one that fits better. This is the way to find your way through an overload of media lies, cover-ups and half-truths. It is not an easy task, but if we have the willingness and a certain amount of patience we can do it. You will find out that it is a game within games within games. We are the flies being stuck in a giant web of deceit. The question is, who is the spider? If you look at this initial information with an open mind, I think that after a while you will have little doubt that the shadow government, a global elite, is trying to create a malevolent world government above our heads, and they are just about to succeed. These are not some paranoid conspiracy theories, like some people want you to believe, but facts backed up by evidence and even admitted by some of the people I am exposing as being behind the plot. Much of it is therefore already in the open if we have eyes to see and ears to hear. Most of us agree that something is very wrong with this world. Civil wars, diseases, famine, ethnic cleansing, religious wars, different violations of human rights, the list is long and it just goes on. Are all those bad conditions totally separated from each other, or do they have a common source and a hidden purpose? All I ask from you is to think for yourself and have an open mind. Throw away everything you've been told, things you've learned in school, what you've heard on the radio, what you've seen on television, what politicians have told you etc. just for a moment. Let's start thinking for ourselves for just a while. It's not too often we have that opportunity when we on a daily basis are bombarded with information and propaganda wherever we are. We are constantly fed with opinions, bad news and lies, and there are tons of untold secrets. Life is hectic, we have to earn a living, and we are afraid to be laid off work. Our survival is threatened constantly, at least that's how it seems, and this is primarily occupying our thinking these days. So what is it that causes so much fear and uncertainty in our lives? Is life really this threatening, or is somebody? The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 3. Creating a condition of fear and terror on purpose? Much of this fear and terror is spread through media, which are owned by a few people at the very top of the society, whom I sometimes call the puppet masters or the Brotherhood. And those people have their very own dark agenda. The Illuminati, not to be confused with the Bavarian Illuminati, more about that later, is a very secretive group of occult practitioners who have been around for thousands and thousands of years and are using the Jewish Kabbalah as one of their guidelines to oppress the rest of the population. It is not a boys' club or a group of adults trying to get some excitement in life, this is something much bigger and much more sinister. It is an extremely well-structured organization consisting of people in very high places. Those people are the super wealthy, who stand above the law. Many of them don't even appear on the list of the wealthiest people in the world, they are that secret. What is driving them is power, money and control over life and death of others and themselves. This paper has a certain purpose. First of all, I want to brief you on the current scene, especially the political one, in the world of today. This is what I have found to be the truth about politics and world affairs, which you will never know about by reading newspapers, watch TV or listen to the radio. On my website, Illuminati News, I am commenting on important things we are fed with through different media outlets and explain or debate them. All this based on the facts I am going to give you soon. Secondly, I want to show you what is the ultimate goal for these people and throughout the different levels of learning on my latest website, Wespenre.com, I will, in a very effective way, without using any violence or weapons of any kind, show you how to counter the plans of the game masters and how to start creating a new life, where this hidden control is no longer possible. When you've studied this some more, you will get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. This paper, and the ones that follow upon this one, will tell you what is going on, by peeling off the onion layer by layer, and reveal what certain people don't want you to know. The Illuminati. The word Illuminati means 1. People claiming to be unusually enlightened with regard to a subject. 2. Illuminati, any of various groups claiming special religious. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 4. Enlightenment. Latin illuminati, from pl. Of ilmentus, past participle of illuminare, to light up. See illuminate, www.bartleby.com web link. These definitions are taken from the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, www.bartleby.com web link. Like the definitions tell us, any group which considers itself enlightened could rightfully call themselves the Illuminati. This is also the case. If you Google the Illuminati, you will find quite a few groups claiming this name. It can be confusing, so before we continue, I want to make very clear that the Illuminati we are discussing here is not a benevolent secret society who wants to bring peace and harmony to this world by helping to bring back freedom to the people. I know such a benevolent group exists and also happens to call itself the Illuminati, so I apologize if some people will mix up the different groups. The Illuminati I am exposing here is the super rich power elite with an ambition to create a slave society. The Illuminati are the top players on the international playground, basically belonging to the 13 of the wealthiest families in the world, and they are the men who really rule the world from behind the scenes. Yes, they are mostly men, with a few exceptions. They are the real decision makers, who make up the rules for presidents and governments to follow, and they are often held from public scrutiny, as their action can't stand scrutiny. They are connected by bloodlines going back thousands and thousands of years in time, and they are very careful keeping those bloodlines as pure as possible from generation to generation. The only way to do so is by inbreeding. That is why you so often see royalties marry royalties, for example. Their parents decide whom their children should marry. Their power lies in the occult, magic rituals, and in economy. Money creates power. The Illuminati own all the international banks, the oil businesses, the most powerful businesses of industry and trade. They infiltrate politics and education, and they own most governments, or at the very least control them. They even own Hollywood and the music industry. A good example is the American election for presidency. It is no secret that the candidate who gets the most sponsorship in form of money and positive media coverage wins the election, as this gives the power to uncreate the opposed candidate and effectively promote the candidate who will follow the plans of the Illuminati. Media, knowing how to manipulate ignorant people, can easily steer an election in a desired direction so the candidate that's been selected by the Illuminati wins. More often than not, it is the candidate with the purest bloodline and who is the most corrupt that will be chosen for the job. The Illuminati put in top positions people who they know have a dark past, so they can be easily controlled. If these appointed people, who are promised fame and fortune if they follow the rules, are breaking the same rules, the puppet masters can easily get them back in line by threatening to put their dirty laundry out to dry in public. If that doesn't help, the person will end up like John F. Kennedy and others. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 5. More often than not, the Illuminati sponsor both sides to have a game to entertain the ignorant public. They decide who will be the next president, and they see to that their man wins, even if they have to cheat like they did in Florida when President George W. Bush won over Al Gore. Even if their pre-elected candidate for some reason can't win and the other candidate does, they just go to Plan B, which is very well structured and prepared beforehand, should this happen. So basically, no matter which candidate wins the race, they win. They control both the Democratic and Republican parties. Most president campaigns are financed with drug money, which is understandable when you understand that the Illuminati run the drug trade industry as well. More about this elsewhere on this website. Elections are really not necessary, but they let us vote so we can have a game, and by letting us do so, they pretend to follow the Constitution. It gives us an illusion of choice. But isn't the president running the game? Not the least. Think of the president as the CEO of big corporate America. He is the decision maker as long as he is following the policies of the company. If he should have own ideas how to change things, he needs approval from the real owners of America Incorporated, which is the hidden hand, the Illuminati. The power is not with the politicians, but with the Illuminati, whose top players, as far up in power as we can confirm, are mostly of a sectarian Jewish elite, who in modern time use Zionism as a tool to create a Jewish state in Israel with Jerusalem as their capital. Zionists are not to be confused with the common Jews, who have nothing to do with this treason against humanity. Soon enough you will see that you don't even have to be a Christian to realize that the Bible prophecies anticipating an Antichrist and the end of the world as we know it are actually unfolding right before our eyes. The leading candidates for presidency are carefully chosen from the occult bloodlines of the 13 Illuminati families, and if we research all the presidents of the United States from the beginning and up to present time, we will find that almost all of them are of the same royal bloodline, and they are all family, related by ancestry and family trees. Royalty is equivalent to the Illuminati. We have heard a lot about this during presidential campaigns lately, where mass media have revealed the family ties between the candidates and also showed how a certain candidate is of royal blood. The Illuminati have 6 disciplines of training within their family. These are 1. Military 2. Government 3. Spiritual 4. Scholarship 5. Leadership 6. Science. Each member is schooled extensively in all of them from early childhood. Like an Illuminati member said, with the addition, to the above 6 disciplines, of a complicit media machine and ownership of your financial establishments, all bases are covered. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 6. One thing I want to make clear here is that any person can join a secret society if you are accepted, but no one can join the Illuminati. You are born into it and have to be of the right bloodline. Greedy and evil people join their agenda for power and money, but they can't join the Illuminati itself. Important distinction. So what is the true goal of the Illuminati? The main goal is to create a one-world government, with them on top to rule the world into slavery and dictatorship. George Bush Sr. and a few other major players like Mikhail Gorbachev and Gordon Brown have openly called for a new world order, which is referring to this one-world government. In fact, it's nothing new with the new world order, it's the same old world order that has always been in place. The only difference is that now they want to put the crown upon the head of their world dictator, and with that their mission is completed. The battle of planet Earth is won. This is a very old goal of theirs, and to understand it fully, one must realize that this goal isn't of a kind that's supposed to be obtained within one lifetime. It has been a goal that slowly is to be reached over a long period of time. However, they have accomplished more in this direction during the last few decades than they have done in hundreds of years, due to the industrialization and the information technology era. Their immediate task is to lower the living standard of the developed countries, like the United States and Europe, to a low enough level so the government can more easily control us. You can see this happening. The living standard in the third world countries will then increase to the same low level that is planned for the developed countries, so that it all evens out. To be able to accomplish a new world order, the living standard must be similar all over the world. They want a uniform world to rule over. We can see this goal slowly being reached right before our eyes. The following article shows it clearly. Africa and Asia push for new world order. illuminatenews.com web link. This goal has been planned away from the public, in secrecy within secret societies. Most secret societies with secret grades of initiation are these days controlled by this malevolent Illuminati cabal, and Freemasonry is perhaps the best known of them all. Although Freemasonry and a few other secret societies were not created by the puppet masters, they have been infiltrated over time, and there are very few unique ones left that are actually working against the power bloodlines. The elite that controls the societies and the Illuminati are occultists and black magicians. They say their god is Lucifer, the light bearer, and by occult practices they manipulate and influence the masses. Although branches of the Illuminati are Gnostic in nature and claim to acknowledge Lucifer as the head of the game, even that seems to be a deception. With time and after years of research, I've come to understand that Lucifer is not equivalent to Satan, but they are two different entities. The real power behind the Brotherhood is therefore not Lucifer, but Satan himself. Hence, it is correct to refer to this cabal as being Satanists and not Luciferian. It doesn't matter if you and I believe in this or not, as long as they do. And they take it very seriously. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 7. It's a breathtaking thought that this planet, as a matter of fact, is run with black magic. A planet where magic is not supposed to exist at all in any shape and form, except in the movies and in books, and if somebody tells you it does exist, he or she will most certainly be ridiculed. After people have watched movies like Lord of the Rings, they wish there was more magic in their lives. Little do they know. From the occult, science, mind control and intelligence have developed. By taking over the movie industry, illuminatinews.com web link, the record companies, www.illuminatenews.com web link, and by their control of the fine arts, they know how to influence the teenagers to dance to their tune and accept their kind of reality. This makes sense if you look at what kind of entertainment we are enforced to enjoy. If you doubt it, just look at what influence the modern music has on the kids. It's not uplifting and doesn't have love and compassion as its end product. It promotes darkness, not light. And I am talking about the overall effect, not individual artists, whom on rare occasions may release something positive. In fact, the music the teenagers have to listen to is often totally without quality and lead many of them into robotism, apathy, violence and drugs. It's also used for mind control, as we shall see later. Real quality music is rejected by the big record companies in favor for those with lack of talent. Since Black Sabbath in the beginning of the 70s and the Rolling Stones before them, Satanism, magic and black magic, has been promoted through the music industry. Many groups followed on the same track and have always been hard sale and heavily promoted and distributed. Ozzy Osbourne is still going strong, as is his buddy, Marilyn Manson. Some people dispute that Black Sabbath were into black magic, but were actually singing about God and condemning Satan. This is of course not true, but a playing with words. It doesn't matter how you present the lyrics when the vibration of the music is dark and gloomy. Tony Iommi, the guitar player in Black Sabbath, tuned down his guitar to create this low vibration in their music, something that the later heavy metal and death metal industry adopted big time. Geezer Butler, bass player in Black Sabbath and the one who wrote most lyrics, admitted in public that Black Sabbath were into black magic. The same thing goes with Hollywood. which is also controlled and created by the Jewish branch of the Illuminati, illuminatinews.com weblink, and the Mafia, same masters. The E.T. movies, Doomsday films and catastrophe movies all align with the purpose to influence us in certain directions, as we shall see later in this article. Occult movies have also been made popular by Walt Disney and others to influence our children. All to prepare for days to come. Still, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, there is a lot to learn from the Hollywood movies. The Brotherhood loves to put the truth out there in plain sight in form of symbolism and coded messages. Those with the knowledge to interpret it will be able to get the message. The rest of the population only see an entertaining movie played out in front of them. They miss the whole point. I told you above that the men who control the Illuminati are members of 13 wealthy families. Who they are has always been a well-hidden secret, and the leadership has gone from man to man over generations. Nevertheless, no secrecy is kept forever. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 8. And sooner or later there will be leaks, so also in this case. Not many people knew who these families are exactly, but quite recently this has become known, due to people from the Illuminati who have left the order and revealed the most remarkable information. So here are the names of the 13 families, the secret government, www.thewatcherfiles.com weblink, and here is another link, www.theforbiddenknowledge.com weblink, in case one of the websites goes down. And here is yet another one, www.bibliotecapuliads.net weblink. 1. Astor 2. Bundy 3. Collins 4. DuPont 5. Freeman 6. Kennedy 7. Lee, Chinese, 8. Onassis 9. Rockefeller 10. Rothschild 11. Russell 12. Vanden 13. Merovingian, European royal families. The following families are also interconnected with those above. 1. Reynolds 2. Disney 3. Krupp 4. McDonald. Also, in addition to those 4 families, there are hundreds of others that are more remotely connected to the main 13 Illuminati bloodlines. Although significant, they are not mentioned here. They are considered less powerful and less pure by the 13 elite bloodlines. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 9. All the families above can be studied in much more detail in Fritz Springmeier's excellent book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, www.hiddenmysteries.com weblink. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 10. Secret Societies. The secret societies have been present in the history of man for a very long time. It all started thousands and thousands of years ago with the Brotherhood of the Snake, illuminatinews.com weblink, a secret society that goes back all the way to the time of Garden of Eden and Old Sumer. Most secret societies have been created with a purpose to keep hidden, spiritual knowledge away from the masses, to be shared only by a selected few of the power elite, who have generationally ruled over mankind behind the scenes since ancient times. George Carlin, the late comedian, described it very well when he talked about an exclusive club ruling over us, and we are not in it. Don't think for a second that people who have reached the top in society, whether it is in science, politics, music and art, Hollywood, banking or whatnot, have done so merely because they were smart, had talent and/or high intelligence. No, they had access to hidden information that common people don't have access to. Einstein, Ford, Carnegie, Clinton, Bush, Obama, the list goes on, they all had help from one secret society of another. Secret societies are also called brotherhoods for a reason. Once you become a member you swear allegiance to the brotherhood and promise to serve them before anything else. This is very important to understand, because it means that the President of the United States swore an allegiance to serve the Brotherhood before he serves the country. With other words, the Brotherhood owns him and ultimately decides what he should or shouldn't do. You are in the hands of the higher rank members of the secret. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 11. Society you're signed up with, and this becomes more obvious the higher up their ladder you climb. One very important purpose with a secret society is to help other members and have an exchange of secret information. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. On a very high level, from where the powers that be operate, various esoteric and powerful information is exchanged so that these special people, almost always of the certain 13 bloodlines, can reach the goals that they decide for themselves and others. So much for the American dream, where we all are supposed to have a chance to become rich and powerful in the land of opportunities if we put our minds to it. This, of course, is just an illusion and will not happen unless you are one of them and go to the right schools. Every once in a while, some common person slips through the crack and actually becomes something big on her own, without help from the Brotherhood, but this is very unusual. Even if so, you are not very likely to keep your success if you in any way step on the feet of the powers that be. If you do, they will destroy you or your wealth. If you are considered harmless, they may let you get away with it just to prove that anyone can make it in the United States. The truth is that this person of the people who actually made it, did it despite the efforts from the Brotherhood to make it almost impossible. This is how the world is, and has always been, set up. A few people in power have access to some very secret spiritual, and other kind of, knowledge which gives them the privilege to step 100 miles ahead of us common people, to make sure they keep the power, and they keep it within their bloodlines. Usually, common people are welcome to apply for membership in secret societies and are sometimes accepted, but 98% or so are just foot people, a face outwards toward the society and never reach the top, where the true secret knowledge is taught for the worthy. Therefore, it's just smoke and mirrors for most members, and on the surface the secret societies serve as charity organizations, or help organizations to show the world that they are indeed benevolent and there is nothing to fear. It's a perfect front, but now that front is breaking more and more as the real truth about these societies comes out in the open. Also important to mention is that there are benevolent secret societies as well, that were created as opposed to the Brotherhood controlled by the 13 bloodlines. These friendly societies were created to keep their intentions and knowledge away from the 13 bloodlines, especially during times when oppression has been severe, like in the Dark Ages for example. These benevolent secret societies still exist, but are now more and more coming out in the open due to the necessity to do so. We live in a very special time, and some of these more friendly-oriented societies will come out and teach mankind some very important spiritual lessons. Keep your eyes and ears open and you will soon know about them. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 12. Research points in the direction that an alien agenda is on the government's table as one among many other options to ring in a one-world government and a one-world dictator. They want to create an outside threat, a fake alien invasion, so that the countries of this world will be willing to unite as one, to fight the threat from outer space. If this succeeds, the Illuminati goal is completed. This is what we are getting prepared for in mass media right now, where they report more UFO sightings than perhaps ever before. Although there is evidence of ET societies visiting us on this planet, both benevolent and malevolent in nature, their agendas are not what I am talking about here. The UFOs people see are a mix of both government vehicles and alien ships, but if there is an alien threat being presented by the government, including holograms of spaceships in the sky, we are not talking about an alien invasion, but an attempt to scare the world population into uniting so they can ring in the final step of their world order once and for all. For your information, I have a whole UFOs and aliens section, www.illuminatenews.com web link, on my website, and I hope some of those articles will help you with your own research. Note, if you, the reader, have a problem accepting the alien part of this agenda, feel free to exclude it from the picture for now, and please continue to read. You will most certainly find the evidence overwhelming on this website with or without the alien involvement. The information speaks for itself. The Christian viewpoint on this is that the Illuminati in fact are descending from the fallen angels and the giants that walked the earth. Those giants, according to the Bible, Genesis, chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, were the hybrid offspring of those fallen angels, who together with Lucifer were cast out of heaven and came down to earth. The fallen angels then interbred with mortal women here on earth, and their offspring were the Nephilim, the giants that walked the earth. Thus, they were the results of a divine, mortal sexual union. The Nephilim are, according to the Bible, believed to be the Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 13. Ascendants of famous rulers, outstanding leaders and mighty warriors who lived here before the deluge. My own research has taught me that this is actually true, but has been misinterpreted. And interestingly, the offspring of these beings are still here, walking this earth. As this website will show, these beings are the top of the ruling class. The truth is, in the background, throughout all history, secret societies have been working without most people being aware of their importance and influence. The original Brotherhood of the Snake soon split up into cults, when certain people on top were in disagreement with each other. Different powers of control developed, where they fought against each other internally, which still is the case today, out of sight from an ignorant population. They invented the different religions and sects and cults so man would be busy doing something else instead of looking into what the Brotherhood actually was doing. They put themselves in charge of the churches to entrap people and to spread conflicts between different belief systems. Most wars throughout history, like most people know, have been religious wars. Out of the original Brotherhood, Freemasonry, the Rosicrucians, the Knights Templar, Ordo Templi Orientis, Knights of Malta, Skull and Bones and more were created. Some people may object and say that Freemasonry, for example, is a charity organization and even a Christian society. Yes, that's what we're told and that is what most members of the secret society believe. The vast majority of people involved are good people, who are ignorant of what is practiced on the highest levels, unaware of that up there in highest places is worship of the dark forces, practiced in very dark rituals, including human sacrifice. Their god is Satan, lord of this world, and perhaps this whole sector of the universe, and their interaction and control are the keys to what is happening in the world of today. There is a totally different struggle going on above people's heads than we are aware of, and this struggle affects our lives every day, and not in a good way, I may add. You can see the results all around you. Only because the human race is basically loving and caring, we still have decency in this world. But planet Earth has truly become much more negative than positive thanks to the powers that be and our own ignorance and inability to stop this from happening. Too many times we have looked the other way. If you are a Freemason, 1 degree minus 33 degrees, and are reading this now, I strongly suggest you also read the article Terminated. Freemasonry's Final Revelation, www.rents.com weblink, by Dr. Henry McCaw, where he can tell you that being a Freemason is not the safest thing in the world. The top Masons on this planet are planning on terminating you together with most of the remaining population, until only about 500 million people remain. More about depopulation programs later in this article. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 14. The Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati is probably the most misunderstood secret society in modern history. Adam Weishaupt, 1748–1811, founded this new secret society in the 1700s, but it was indeed not new at all. It's been around for thousands of years but under different names. During Weishaupt's lifetime, however, this organization was revealed in public. The Bavarian Illuminati in an earlier form created the Knights Templar and Freemasonry to safeguard ancient esoteric knowledge from coming into the hands of the power elite and was set up as an opposition to the powers that be. The Freemasons, under the influence of the Bavarian Illuminati, started a new branch of Freemasonry, Freemasonry of the Scottish Rite, with its 33 degrees of initiation, where also the esoteric knowledge from the Knights Templar were intermixed. After had begun as a benevolent organization, it was soon infiltrated by the malevolent Brotherhood and eventually taken over by them. Today it is one of the most, if not the most, powerful secret society in the world, including members within high politics, religious leaders, businessmen and other for them useful individuals. As we speak, the head of Freemasonry worldwide is the Rothschild banking family. The Illuminati had its own degrees aside from the 33 degrees of Freemasonry. Even persons who were initiated into the higher degrees of Freemasonry had no knowledge of the Illuminati grades. It was that secret. Weishaupt planned to take the power away from the malevolent Brotherhood, and his main enemies were the royal bloodlines, and he made up distinct strategies to create a one-world government and a new world order to counter the power elite. He had seen the oppression people lived under from the ruling kings of the world, and he wanted to put an end to it. Although stationed in Bavaria, Germany, the Bavarian Illuminati was a worldwide organization, working in secret with a secret membership clan. At that time, the Bavarian Illuminati was a revolutionary organization, and they are the ones behind the French Revolution. They helped with the Russian Revolution and was also the force behind the American Revolution, in conspiracy with a still benevolent Freemasonry. Weishaupt was friends with both George Washington, Benjamin Franklin and other founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson, America's third president, was a member of the Bavarian Illuminati. All these three revolutions had one thing is common: they ended the oppression of the ruling kings. The Bavarian Illuminati wanted to re-establish the old Greek and Roman republics as a much more humane political system. As we all know, Vladimir Lenin made Russia into a communist country. At the time, the Bavarian Illuminati supported this particular political system as an experiment, but it went out of hand once Stalin took over. And if we look at America today, the vision of our founding fathers is totally destroyed. There is nothing left of the original American Republic. The Republic has become a democracy, which was never the intention of the founding fathers, and on top of that, it's an illusionary democracy where the people. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 15. Actually don't have any power, although they are told they do. The real power is back with the elite. Instead of having a king overtly ruling over us, which is exactly what the founding fathers had fought so hard to avoid, breaking loose from King George's of England oppressive reign, we now have presidents elected from the most powerful elite bloodlines on the planet. And if we look at their ancestry, we notice they are of the same royal bloodlines as King George and Louis XIV of France. So we are back where we started, and everything the founding fathers fought for has been destroyed, and the American people in their ignorance and laziness let it happen. Hence the mess we are in. The power elite infiltrated Freemasonry and took over the country from the freedom fighters, and we, the people, let America decline. The Bavarian Illuminati was a serious threat to the powers that be, and due to the success of the resistance, the malevolent Brotherhood suffered a major setback. So they had to be destroyed. A plot against them was created, and this is assumingly how it was done. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, www.biblebelievers.org. A weblink, were probably written by Lionel Rothschild and described in details how a certain power elite were planning to take over the world. Some people say these documents are a hoax, but they are not. It doesn't matter who actually wrote them, because if you read them you will see they are an amazingly accurate blueprint for the power elite agenda, and everything in there has happened or is just about to happen. If a document shows you exactly what is happening, you can hardly call it a hoax. However, the secrets leaked, intentionally or unintentionally. An emissary for the Rothschilds was allegedly struck by lightning when he rode over a field, carrying the protocols, and they were found and revealed to the world. This was in the 1770s. Weishaupt and his Illuminati organization were falsely accused of having written them and plotted against Manking, and Weishaupt and his co-conspirators had to flee and work underground. Due to that their organization now was banned. The Bavarian Illuminati, however, has survived to this day and is no longer a revolutionary organization, but is working on a spiritual level as well as a political, still supposedly in opposition to the Rothschilds and the powers that be. They even have a website where they are revealing, little by little, the truth about the malevolent brotherhood, speaking of themselves and their vision of a possible future for mankind. Here is their website, armageddonconspiracy.co.uk. I am not affiliated with them or any other organizations, I am working entirely on my own, but there is a lot of previously hidden and extremely important information on that website, which I strongly recommend you to take part of. You may or may not agree to their ideas of bringing in their own version of a new world order, but in spite of what you think about them, the information they present lays big chunks of the puzzle. Please keep in mind, though, that sometimes, on a top level, the global elite play both sides. They pretend to be in opposition, when in fact two groups fighting each other are just two sides of the same coin. Anything to keep the conflict and the confusion going, so. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 16. We don't look at things they want to stay hidden, it's called distractions. More often than not, the lower-level members of any given group have no idea whom they are really working for, and most group members are good, but deceived, people. It's the top of the pyramid that we should be truly concerned about. The rest of the people just have to wake up to whom they are actually supporting. Most researchers today call the Brotherhood I am mainly concerned about, the global elite, the Illuminati. You can see this term on numerous websites, in books and in videos and movies. This is unfortunate, because it's a mix-up. The global elite never seriously call themselves the Illuminati when they refer to their network, the Brotherhood, the global elite, or the powers that be, PTB, are more accurate terms to use. The Illuminati is, and has always been, the Bavarian Illuminati, who are not the group we are concentrating on in this paper. So how could his mix-up happen? Partly because the Bavarian Illuminati is totally misunderstood due to the attack it was under in the late 1700s. Most researchers are under the impression that the Bavarian Illuminati is equivalent to the Brotherhood, hence the most common term for the power network is now the Illuminati. Then, of course, the powers that be have added fuel to this fire by officially sometimes referring to themselves as the Illuminati to further confuse the issue. They have also infiltrated the truth movement to spread disinformation about themselves and their opponents to make people confused and give up their investigations into the power elite. So be very careful when you do this kind of research. Don't take anything at face value without investigating it yourself and do your own research. This goes for anything I say and write as well. What can be established for certain is that there is a conspiracy against mankind that has been ongoing since ancient times and that the shadow government, the power elite, is for real and they are controlling the world from behind the scenes. The details, however, need to be carefully looked into to sort out what is true from what is disinformation. I will provide you with some truth, some evidence and proof, but also some speculations. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 17. Cecil Rhodes and the Round Table. Another important agent for the malevolent Illuminati was Freemason Cecil Rhodes, who in the 19th century tried to build a one-world government with the British Empire on top. This agenda was sponsored by the Rothschilds, and it was also Rhodes who created the Round Table, a secret society in itself, named after King Arthur's Round Table, where the Brotherhood elite is gathering to plot up to this day. World War I and II were both attempts to take over. After the Second World War, people were so tired of all the killing that they welcomed the United Nations when it was founded. The official policy of the UN was to safeguard the peace, so nothing like World War II would ever happen again. But indeed the UN was another important front organization for the Illuminati, to unite the countries of the world into one. Here is a typical example of how the Brotherhood works. They use a modus operandi we call problem reaction solution. By starting 2 world wars they created a problem. This in turn created a reaction from the population, who wanted a solution to the wars. So the Illuminati created a solution to the problem they themselves created by founding the United Nations, one step closer to a one-world government. This eventually led to the EU project, which anyone with eyes to see will understand goes right towards the direction of the biggest fascist state known to man, where each country gets less and less power and sovereignty, and Europe is put under the reign of a few, in a centralized government. And who are running EU? The Freemasons and the Illuminati. Do the pieces start coming together now? But unfortunately, this is just the beginning. Next on the agenda are the North American Union, which is already being built as we speak, thanks to George W. Bush, who is furiously working on erasing the borders between the US, Mexico and Canada and merge them into one, also starting to build a superhighway. IlluminatiNews.com web link running through these 3 countries, the South American Union, the African Union and the Asian Union. Finally, all these unions, including the European Union, will merge into one big union, which will be run by a one-world government. By creating galloping inflation, the international bankers, read the Illuminati, have succeeded in making us believe that the only solution is a one currency in Europe, the EMU. When that project is safeguarded, the Central European Bank, Illuminati, has all the power over the economy in Europe and can lead us in whatever direction they want. Some politicians are just ignorant and power-hungry, while others are aware of facts and work for, and with, the Illuminati. The ignorant majority of the people, being deceived, are the ones who will suffer the most. This is a betrayal beyond comprehension. And now the financial meltdown, which creates such fear and uncertainty amongst the Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 18. Populations of the world, that soon enough people will welcome a world currency as a solution to inflation and further financial crises. The secret societies and the Illuminati believe in the power of symbols. The world is full of their magic and black magic symbols. However, we are so used to seeing them everywhere that we don't even think about them. The Illuminati believe that the more symbols around, the more magic power to them. The insignia of the Illuminati and the New World Order is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, which you can study on the back of the US $1 bill. IlluminatiNews.com web link. Some years ago this symbol was also on a series of stamps released from the Vatican. The all-seeing eye is the Eye of Horus, which is the same as the Eye of Lucifer, and goes back to the Egyptian era. The $1 bill was apparently designed by President Roosevelt's administration, and the below letter from 1951 tells us that the president had a lot to do with its design. In 1934, when I was Secretary of Agriculture, I was waiting in the outer office of Secretary of State Cordell, Holland. As I waited, I amused myself by picking up a State Department publication which was on a stand there entitled, The History of the Seal of the United States. Turning to page 53, I noted the colored reproduction of the reverse side of the seal. The Latin phrase novus ordo seclorum impressed me as meaning the New Deal of the ages. Therefore I took the publication to President Roosevelt and suggested a coin be put out with the obverse and reverse sides of the seal. Roosevelt, as he looked at the colored reproduction of the seal, was first struck with the representation of the all-seeing eye, a Masonic representation of the great architect of the universe. Next he was impressed with the idea that the foundation for the new order of the ages had been laid in 1776, but that it would be completed only under the eye of the great architect. Roosevelt, like myself, was a 32nd degree Mason. He suggested that the seal be put on the dollar bill rather than a coin and took the matter up with the Secretary of the Treasury. When the first draft came back from the Treasury, the obverse side was on the left of the bill, as is heraldic practice. Roosevelt insisted that the order be reversed so that the phrase of the United States would be under the obverse side of the seal. Roosevelt was a great stickler for details and loved playing with them, no matter whether it involved the architecture of a house, a post office, or a dollar bill. Wallace's letter to Dowley, February 6, 1951. Other common symbols are the pentagram, 5-pointed star, the hexagram, 6-pointed star, the Star of David, the swastika reversed, the way Hitler used it, and the pyramid in general. The Black Magicians. The secret societies, controlled by the Illuminati, have secret grades of initiations, a pyramid structure where people on one level of the pyramid do not know what the people on the level above them know. The pyramid originally symbolizes illumination, with the majority of initiates at the bottom, and the road to illumination becomes narrower and narrower the higher up you reach until you pass through the illumination of the sun to ultimate illumination on the other side. Throughout history, although the rules have been less strict recently in an effort to recruit more members, in Freemasonry you can't just become a member. You have to be recommended by at least 2 persons who are already members, and the applicant should be examined of his record before he is able to join. If only one person in the council says no to membership, the suggested person will not be initiated. Each person is very carefully examined to determine if the brotherhood may have any use for him. That doesn't mean that they are selecting only bad people, quite the opposite. Officially, most societies are charity organizations. This, and the propaganda they spread that organizations like the Freemasons are Christian in nature, is why most people join, although Freemasonry accepts people from all religions as long as you believe in a deity of some sort. With other words, you can't be an atheist. These societies are instead extremely esoteric, with secret grades of initiations, where each member has sworn loyalty foremost to the brotherhood. This means, like I mentioned earlier, that if this person has a certain position in society, let's say president of some country, his first loyalty is to the brotherhood and second to his duty as president. So he has in fact double loyalties, and whatever the brotherhood decides for him to do, he has to obey, even if it goes against the survival of his country and its citizens. A brother in good standing should always be protected and cared for, as long as he is useful to the organization and follows its rules. If he fails or doesn't keep the secrets, he will be made a horrible example of, sometimes even killed. It is extremely important that the secrets are kept. If not, the brotherhood loses its power over the people and the whole pyramid falls apart. The Illuminati does not want publicity unless it suits the agenda. They are afraid that the public will kill them in fury when they find out about their horrible crimes. Many Freemasons at the lower levels are actually very pleased to be members. It is a type belonging feeling, and they will learn a few secrets of this universe, which are not taught in school, and they are often enthusiastic and fascinated. One Freemason said, "Beside my wife, Freemasonry is the most important thing in my life." His wife, by the way, must never know anything about what her husband is doing within the society, as the Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 21. It is supposed to be kept secret, and women most often are not allowed into the societies. However, there are a few societies especially for women, like the Freemasonic Eastern Star, www.mastermason.com web link. One can then speculate in how come that women are treated as being of lesser value in the society than men, with lower wages for the same job etc. It's a man's world, it's the world of the male-dominated secret societies. With the purpose to create a positive front, the Brotherhood is actually very eager to recruit good people, celebrities and people in positions where they are admired by the population in general are extremely valuable to recruit, to speak good of the organization and defend it when necessary. And the less those people know about the real agenda, the more truthful this person will sound in his defense of the organization. This also goes for religious cults of any sort, as they too are connected to the network of secret societies in one way or the other. With time, some of the members, but far from everyone, will enter higher and higher grades within the secret society they belong to, until they reach the upper, significant levels. But up there, a very careful selection takes place. The initiate in Freemasonry, for example, will be tested for loyalty and can make two choices. If he makes the choice a normal, good-hearted person would, the worshipful master of the order and the council will tell him he made the right decision and has showed his loyalty. However, that person will never be admitted into the highest grades. He will always be met with excuses from the council why he can't continue. On the other hand, if the initiate makes the other choice, he is considered trustworthy enough to be admitted to continue up the grade chart. He now has access to the secret libraries, where the wisdom from long gone ages are gathered, and he is allowed to take part of it and the powerful magic rituals, based on the Jewish Kabbalah. He will be more and more involved in black magic and prepared for the big secrets, which among others are the following. 1. The purpose with the society is to create a one-world government with them in charge over mankind. To be able to control the population, they need to reduce us from 6 billion to approximately 500 million. www.illuminatinews.com web link. This is done by creating conflicts, wars, inventing diseases and viruses, and now as of recent, orchestrating a war on terror and a financial meltdown. 2008. On the top of the Illuminati pyramid worldwide are mainly 13 royal bloodlines, who go way back in time. However, as this website will show, there is another hidden hand, or hidden power that is even higher up than the 13 bloodlines. I will not touch that subject in this particular overview article, though. The reader needs to learn more before he or she is ready to read about the absolute top of the hierarchy and who they really are. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 22. 2. The way to control the masses is through mind control and occult power, used with the intent to manipulate. This also means that the occult idea of reality will be planted into the society through media, music, Hollywood and otherwise, currently happening on a daily basis. 3. The reward will be power and money, in exchange for selling the soul to the above forces. Click here to find out how black magic is practiced, written by Monley P. Hall, a famous 33 degrees Freemason. Magic deals with controlling energy, and the one who can control energy the best will have the most power. You've heard the expression selling your soul to the devil. Although a person who is selling his soul is not doing so to any entity called the devil per se, he or she is selling her soul to very dark energies from which he will not be able to escape once he joined. More about this and how it works in practice will be explained in other places on this website. The only catch in the contract is that by using all this negative energy towards the rest of us, which is required from him, the person has to face the consequences eventually. It's just how the laws of this universe work. He finally creates his own hell, if you will, although I disagree with the Christian explanation of hell. The reason for this will be obvious as you continue researching this website. 4. The upper echelons of the Brotherhood are practicing Satanists and not Luciferians. Due to that Lucifer and Satan are two different entities, people often mix them up. At some level, members of the Brotherhood believe they are Luciferian, meaning light bringers, when this is just another front in order to confuse and keep the actual secret. Satan is real, he is the lord of this world and probably this sector of the universe, and he is the real Grand Master of the Brotherhood. In 1922 Lucifer's Trust was created in London, but later changed its name to Lucy's Trust, as the first name was too obvious. The trust is non-governmental and officially recognized by the United Nations. It is also an extension of the Theosophical Society, www.theosociety.org weblink, another secret society which influenced Adolf Hitler in developing his doctrine about the Aryan super race. Lucy's Trust is sponsored by among others the occultist Robert McNamara, just recently deceased, former Minister of Defense in the USA, President of the World Bank, member of the Rockefeller Foundation, and Thomas Watson, IBM, former ambassador in Moscow. Lucy's Trust sponsors, among others, are the following front organizations: United Nations, Greenpeace Int, Greenpeace USA, Amnesty Int, UNICEF. Lucy's Trust has its only religious chapel, the Temple of Understanding, where black magic is practiced, in the UN headquarters in New York. Interesting is the fact that Lucy's Trust openly declares that a secretive group of illuminated, New Age notables is now running the planet from behind the scenes. Below is proof coming directly from the horse's mouth that Freemasonry is not a Christian organization, in spite of what their lower-grade members think, and the higher-grade members say. These quotes are taken from the Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper No. 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 23. A. The works of Manly P. Hall, who was perhaps the most famous and important Freemason, 33 degrees, of the 20th century, and frequently read especially on the higher echelons of Freemasonry. B. Albert Pike, the icon of Freemasonry, also he a 33 degrees, who wrote the book Morals and Dogma, illuminatinews.com weblink, and yet a few other significant sources. Manly P. Hall and Albert Pike. Manly P. Hall. Man is a god in the making. And as the mystic myths of Egypt, on the potter's wheel, he is being molded. When his light shines out to lift and preserve all things, he receives the triple crown of godhood. Manly P. Hall, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, p. 92. European mysticism was not dead at the time the United States of America was founded. The hand of the mysteries controlled in the establishment of the new government, for the signature of the mysteries may still be seen on the Great Seal of the United States of America. Careful analysis of the seal discloses a mass of occult and Masonic symbols, chief among them, the so-called American Eagle. The American Eagle upon the Great Seal is but a conventionalized phoenix. Not only were many of the founders of the United States government Masons, but they received aid from a secret and august body existing in Europe which helped them to establish this country for a peculiar and particular purpose known only to the initiated few. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, pp. XC and XCI. Masonry makes no profession of Christianity, but looks forward to the time when the labor of our ancient brethren shall be symbolized by the erection of a spiritual temple, in which there shall be but one altar and one worship, one common altar of Masonry on which the Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper No. 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 24. Veda, Shatra, Shade, Zeta Avesta, Quran and the Holy Bible shall at whose shrine the Hindu, the Persian, the Assyrian, the Chaldean, the Egyptian, the Chinese, the Mohammedan, the Jew and the Christian may kneel. The Kentucky Monitor Fellowcraft Degree p. 95. The literal meaning of the Bible is for the vulgar only. Albert Pike Digest of Morals and Dogma, p. 166. What is true to the philosopher, would not be truth, nor have the effect of truth, to the peasant. The religion of many must necessarily be more incorrect than that of the refined and reflected few. The truest religion would in many points, not be comprehended by the ignorant. The doctrines of the Bible are often not clothed in the language of strict truth, but in that which was fittest to convey to a rude and ignorant people. The Doctrine. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma, 14th degree, p. 224. The true name of Satan, the Kabbalists say, is that of Yahweh reversed, for Satan is not a black god. For the initiates this is not a person, but a force, created for good, but which may serve for evil. It is the instrument of liberty and free will. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma, Master Mason, 3rd degree p. 102. Masonry is a search for light. That search leads us back, as you see, to the Kabbalah. In that ancient and little understood, source book, the Infinite will find the source of many doctrines, and, he, may in time come to understand the Hermetic philosophers, the alchemists, all the anti-papal thinkers of the Middle Ages, and Emmanuel Swedenborg. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma, 28th degree p. 741. All truly dogmatic religions have issued from the Kabbalah and returned to it. Everything scientific and grand in the religious dreams of the Illuminati, Jacob Boehme, Swedenborg, Saint Martin, and others is borrowed from the Kabbalah. All Masonic associations owe to it their secrets and their symbols. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma, 28th degree p. 747. Though Masonry is identical with the ancient mysteries, it is so only in this qualified sense, that it presents but an imperfect image of their brilliancy, the ruins of their grandeur. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma Fellowcraft degree p. 22. Masonry, successor to the mysteries, Babel, Mithras, Tammuz, Wicca, etc., still follows the ancient manner of teaching. Albert Pike Morals and Dogma Fellowcraft degree p. 22. These two divinities, Sun and Moon, Osiris and Isis, etc., were commonly symbolized by the generative parts of a man and a woman, to which in remote ages no idea of indecency was attached, the phallus, penis, and ictus, vagina, emblems of generation and production, and which, as such appeared in the mysteries. I believe Masonry is the revival of these. The Indian lingam was the union of both, as were the boat and mast and the point within the circle. Key Masonic symbols, Albert Pike Morals and Dogma, 24th degree, p. 401. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper No. 1, Basic Information on a Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 25. If your wife, child, or friend should ask you anything about your invitation, as for instance, if your clothes were taken off, if you were blindfolded, if you had a rope tied around your neck, etc., you must conceal. Hence of course you must deliberately lie about it. It is part of your obligation. Ibid p. 74. Question: What makes you a Freemason? Answer: My obligation. Question and answer from the entered apprentice, 1st degree, binding myself under no less penalty that of having throat cut from ear to ear, my tongue torn out by its roots, and my body buried in the rough sands of the sea, a cable length from the shore where the tide. From the oath of obligation entered apprentice, 1st degree, binding myself under no less penalty than having my left breast torn open, my heart plucked out, and given to the beasts of the field and fowls of the air as prey. From the oath of obligation, Fellowcraft, 2nd degree, binding myself under no less penalty that of having my body severed in twain, my bowels taken out and burned to ashes, the ashes scattered to the four winds of heaven. From the oath of obligation, Master Mason, 3rd degree, in willful violation whereof may I incur the fearful penalty of having my eyeballs pierced through center with a three-edged blade, my feet flayed and forced to walk the hot sands upon the sterile shores of the Red Sea until the flaming sun shall strike with a livid plague, and my Allah the God of Arab, Muslim, and Mohammedan, the God of our fathers, support me to the entire fulfillment of the same. From the Oath of Obligation, ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine, Shriners. You must conceal all the crimes of your brother Masons. And should you be summoned as a witness against a brother Mason, be always sure to shield him. It may be perjury to do this, it is true, but you're keeping your obligations. Ronain, Handbook of Masonry p. 183. We shall unleash the nihilists and atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirit will from that moment be without a compass, direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the pure light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view, a manifestation which will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Albert Pike, on a plan for world conquest, written in a letter to Mazzini dated August 15, 1871. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper No. 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 26. Thirty-third degree Freemason Albert Pike, 1809 to 1891, the man destined to develop the Luciferian doctrine for the Masonic hierarchy, could not accept that Lucifer and Satan were the same personality. While teaching his beliefs to a select few in the Supreme Council, Pike became the most powerful Mason in the world. Although an obscure general in the Confederate Army during the American Civil War, he was hardly inconspicuous in Freemasonry. From 1859 until his death in 1891, Pike occupied simultaneously the positions of Grand Master of the Central Directory at Washington, D.C., Grand Commander of the Supreme Council at Charleston, South Carolina, and Sovereign Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry. He was an honorary member of almost every Supreme Council in the world, personally receiving 130 Masonic degrees. Pike also was one of the most physically and morally repulsive individuals in American history. Weighing well over 300 pounds, his sexual proclivity was to sit naked astride a phallic throne in the woods, accompanied by a gang of prostitutes. To these orgies he would bring one or more wagon loads of food and liquor, most of which he would consume over a period of 2 days until he passed into a stupor. In his adopted state of Arkansas, Pike was well known as a practitioner of Satanism. Portraits of his later years show him wearing a symbol of the Baphomet around his neck. Scarlet and the Beast, John Daniel, Volume 1. Masonry gives rogues and evil-minded characters an opportunity of visiting upon their devoted victim, all the eels attending combined power, when exerted to accomplish destruction. It works unseen, at all silent hours, and secret times and places, and, like death when summoning his diseases, pounces upon its devoted subject, and lays him prostrate in the dust. Like the great enemy of man, it has shown its cloven foot, and put the public upon its guard against its secret machinations. Captain W.M. Morgan's Illustrations of Masonry, 1827. Membership of secret societies such as Freemasonry can raise suspicions of a lack of impartiality or objectivity. It is therefore important the public know the facts. I think it is the case that the Freemasons said they are not a secret society but a society with secrets. I think it is widely accepted that one secret they should not be keeping is who their members are in the criminal justice system. Home Secretary Jack Straw, 1997 Home Affairs Committee, England. It is generally agreed that the biggest single influence in the modern expansion of ritual magic, and the occult explosion in general, in the Western world, was the Golden Dawn. This magical fraternity, founded by Freemasons at the end of the 19th century, developed a complex ritual system with 10 degrees of initiation relating to the Kabbalistic Sephiroth. World-renowned witches, Janet and Stuart Farrer, authors of A Witch's Bible Complete, Janet and Stuart Farrer, The Life and Times of a Modern Witch, Phoenix Publishing Company, p. 121-2. The reason good-intended people stay members of such destructive organizations is probably because of its non-democratic structure and chain of commands. The lower-grade brother is not entitled to know what is on the grade above, and curiosity drives him into the mystic. Also, the discipline and secrecy is very strict, and punishment can be severe if one fails to comply. In this manner the very few evil men at the top can. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper No. 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 27. Control the many ignorant people below. It is probably that simple, and of course a basic form of mind control. Any religious cult works in the same manner and has a similar structure. It was Socrates who came up with the idea of democracy. Personally, I am sure that democracy is not the best option for a society. It has always showed to fail, as it requires political involvement from the public, who is supposed to be the real power. Groups of people have shown to be easily manipulated and controlled throughout history and made to believe they live in a democracy when in fact the real power has covertly changed to the favor of the politicians, or rather those who pull the strings on the politicians. The true definition of democracy is when politicians are elected and employed by the people to achieve the needs and goals of common man. The true meaning of democracy seems to have been buried and forgotten in the modern society. That's what manipulation is all about. A better political system would probably be meritocracy, which supports each person's personal abilities and strengthens them so each of us have a very fair chance to become what we want with help from the collective society. The United Nations is nothing else but the world police for the Illuminati, founded to be able to step in and take military control over a country or a region which is countering the agenda. Don't think it is a coincidence that the Temple of Understanding is positioned in the UN headquarters. Socialism is the political system the Black Order uses to enslave the people on Earth. The red banner is the private symbol of their biggest sponsors, the Rothschilds, and is actually their family banner. This family has since the 1700s worked on bringing about socialism. The banker Meyer Amschel Rothschild, 1743 to 1812, was the first member of this family who worked for, and financed it. Today the Rothschilds own the FU Central Bank, but few people know that many of the European banks were founded by the Rothschilds and owned by them. Central banks is a basic thesis for the upcoming of socialism. The Rothschilds have invested plenty of money into the environmental movement to counter the nuclear power industry, which wanted to build up its own free energy through nuclear power. National independency and sovereignty are things the Illuminati are up against. And when the oil resources come to an end, the nuclear power will replace the oil, and therefore the Rothschilds have bought 80% of the world assets of uranium. This way they will have world control over energy, which means it will never be free. The Antichrist. As a part of the plan is the uprising of a new Antichrist. He is supposed to come as a man of peace, but will show to be a false messiah, and when he has convinced the peoples of different religions around the world that he is the one they have been waiting for, he will turn into being an oppressive dictator, the Antichrist in the Bible. The following is another quote from Manly P. Hall, 33 Degrees Freemason, one of the greatest authorities on secret societies in general, and Freemasonry in particular. There exists in the world today, and has existed for thousands of years, a body of enlightened humans united in what might be termed, an order of the quest. It is composed of those whose intellectual and spiritual perceptions have revealed to them that civilization has secret destiny. The outcome of this secret destiny is a world order ruled by a king with supernatural powers. This king was descended of a divine race, that is, he belonged to the order of the illumined. For those who come to a state of wisdom then belong to a family of heroes, perfected human beings. Manly P. Hall 33 degrees Mason, The Secret Destiny of America 2. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 29. The Bilderbergers. One of the most powerful front groups of the Illuminati, which also works as a secret society in itself, is the Bilderberg Group, www.bilderberg.org web link. This is a group which was created in the beginning of the 50s by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, former SS officer, and the Polish socialist Joseph Redinger, one of the founders of the European movement. These two persons decided meetings on a regular basis for the European foreign ministers. Their first meeting occurred in Hotel Bilderberg in the Dutch Oosterbreek between the 29th–31st of May 1954, thus the name of the group. The First Bilderberg Conference in Oosterbreek, 1954. The core of the group consists of an elite of people, counted to 39, called the Steering Committee. They are not elected and was originally led by Prince Bernhard, a close friend to the British Crown. Since 1954, meetings have been arranged at least once a year on different locations, each time very secret. The members are around 120 persons from the high finance circles of Western Europe, the US and Canada. Although the meetings are very hidden and nothing, or very little leaks to the international media, which is natural, as most of the media moguls are Bilderbergers, so much for free press. Invited are also political leaders from different countries. Their flight tickets are paid by the committee, and there is free food and drinks etc. The purpose of the group is a. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 30. World Government by the year 2012 and a Global Army through the UN. The takeover is partly planned to involve computers. The Bilderberg Group is also called the Invisible World Government. Because of the character of the meetings, it is clearly bribery on the behalf of the politicians who are taking part. Here they are suggested to betray their own countries by selling out their sovereign states to the EU and American Union against the constitutions of the countries they represent, thus deceiving their own people. This is what many of our elected politicians secretly are doing behind our backs. It is treason at the best. Information has occasionally leaked after these meetings. Insiders have reported what has been decided behind people's backs to destroy their countries. The credibility of these leaks are high due to that the information we have managed to receive in secret has more often than not showed to be accurate, because the events planned by the Bilderbergers have later happened, and the media, which was present at the meetings, said nothing to warn us of coming events. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 31. The Trilateral Commission. David Rockefeller and Zbigniew Brzezinski, also known as Zbig among insiders. The Trilateral Commission, illuminatinews.com web link, click link for membership list, illuminatinews.com web link, a semi-secret society, officially founded in June 1973 by David Rockefeller, Illuminati, and Zbigniew Brzezinski, Zbig, Illuminati and Barack Obama's sponsor and advisor, was created because the already established organizations, like the UN, were too slow in establishing a world government. This commission consists of the industrial and commercial giants of the trilateral nations, USA, Japan and Western Europe. The members are all of the elite, coming from different branches of Freemasonry worldwide to give the Bilderbergers a broader political basis. The 200 members are permanent and in this case different from the Bilderbergers, who are invited, except for the steering committee. The Trilateral Commission controls through the CFR members, See below, the whole U.S. economy, politics, military, oil, energy and media lobbies. The members are chairmen of different companies, bankers, real estate agents, economists, scientists. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 32. Lawyers, publishers, politicians, union leaders, presidents of foundations and newspaper columnists. If you still don't believe that these people want a world government and destroy America and sovereignty in general, please read David Rockefeller's biography, Memoirs, 2002. In this book he says, among a lot of other interesting things, for more than a century, ideological extremists at either end of the political spectrum have seized upon well-publicized incidents to attack the Rockefeller family for the inordinate influence they claim we wield over American political and economic institutions. Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. My emphasis. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 33. The Council on Foreign Relation, CFR. This semi-secret organization was established in 1971 and the members of this secret society are exclusively Americans and Canadians. Today the CFR-4 holds a tight control over the countries of the Western world, with help from sister organizations and its mother organization in Britain, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, RIIA, with Queen Elizabeth II at the top, her being one of the top Illuminatis on Earth. The CFR is in its turn controlled by the Rockefellers and also works for a global government. The inner core is the Dark Order of Skull and Bones, www.control.org weblink, where George H. W. Bush and George W. Bush, illuminatenews.com weblink, are members, as well as John Kerry, illuminatinews.com weblink, the two latter both admitting to it in public interviews. Just click on their names, respectively, and watch the video clips for proof. The Wespenre Papers, Introductory Paper Number 1, Basic Information on the Global Elite aka the Shadow Government by Wespenre, 1998. 34. Where to go from here? Now, when you have been briefed on the world situation as a whole, it is time to go into more details of the many issues mentioned above. Illuminati News, illuminatinews.com, is a large database, where you hopefully will find the answers to many of your questions about life and how this world is run. It may be overwhelming to see all this information at first, but there is a strategy for this web page. I suggest that you start by going to the site map. Then choose the part that intrigues you the most at the moment and start there. The information about the global elite, extremely compressed and simplified in this paper, is a mandatory read before you go to my first level of learning, Wespenre.